Welcome back to Man City Matters. Manchester City are facing major transfer developments, with Marc Bernal reportedly being considered as a potential long-term replacement for Rodri, while Savinho's future is also making headlines amid strong interest from Tottenham. So, what's really happening? Stay with us as we break down all the latest Man City transfer news and updates. And before we begin, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share. Man City burst into race for Barcelona star who didn't want to join Man United. Manchester City are now keen on signing Barcelona midfielder Marc Bernal as a replacement for Rodri. The 2024 Ballon d'Or winner is now pushing for a return to Spain, with Real Madrid working on a deal, which means Man City may be tasked with bringing in a new central midfielder this summer. In the Premier League last season, the 30-year-old averaged 86.7 accurate passes per 90, which means City may need to sign another midfielder who is comfortable in possession, and there are indications that the Barcelona youngster fits the bill. After a 3-0 victory against Levante last season, Barca boss Hansi Flick said, "Bernal played as number 6 and also gave us good ball control. He is excellent, always finding the right spot. He is also very intelligent, and that's all the better. It's fantastic that he is at this level." Marc Bernal's La Liga performance in 2025-26, 22 appearances, 0.23 goals per 90, 92% pass completion rate, 6.75 defensive contributions per 90, 55.3% duels won. Much like Rodri, who stands at 6'3", the 19-year-old is also a real presence in the middle of the park, given that he is 1 inch taller than the Manchester City star, and he actually outperformed his compatriot across some key metrics last season. Man City identify Marc Bernal as Rodri replacement. It is clear to see why Bernal could be regarded as the ideal heir to the Real Madrid-linked midfielder, and Man City have now burst into the race for his signature, according to a report from Caught Offside. Rivals Manchester United previously made an attempt to sign the starlet, but he had no interest in moving to Old Trafford, and it could be difficult to tempt Barca into a sale. That is because the Spanish side haven't shown any willingness to open negotiations, and the La Masia graduate is protected by a €500 million release clause in his contract. What Fabrizio Romano has said about Rodri's future at Man City. Considering a deal for Bernal seems unlikely, Man City's best bet may be convincing Rodri to remain at the Etihad Stadium, but Fabrizio Romano has revealed the midfielder dreams of a move to Real Madrid. That said, Madrid president Florentino Perez has blocked a move for the World Cup winner this summer, which suggests a deal could be off the cards. City presented a new contract offer to their star midfielder way back in April, which remains on the table, with his current contract set to expire next summer. Should Rodri be unwilling to pen a contract extension, City could also make a move for Lille star Ayoub Bouadi, and direct talks have now been opened regarding a deal for the Moroccan. Savinho-to-Tottenham explodes into life after massive Man City development. Manchester City winger Savinho's proposed move to Tottenham Hotspur appears to have ignited, following a major development at Etihad Stadium on Tuesday. Having already bolstered their backline and central midfield, Roberto De Zerbi has openly admitted that he wants to revamp the attacking third of his team next. Adding a new left winger and striker are the main priorities for Tottenham on that front, with City star Savinho having been a major target for the North London outfit going back to last summer. While the Brazilian is not the only left-sided attacker Spurs have been looking at, with the likes of Rafael Leao and Benfica star Andreas Schelderup also firmly on their radar, interest in Savinho does date back further. In terms of actually snapping up Milan and Portugal star Leao, there has been a major development on that front, and the news on Savinho will be welcomed as a result. Indeed, the 22-year-old City star has taken matters into his own hands when it comes to forcing an exit from the club, just 10 months after he penned a contract extension. As per transfer insider Fabrizio Romano, Savinho has handed in a transfer request, having failed to secure regular game time under Pep Guardiola last term. He started game 14 of his 36 appearances in all competitions for City, chalking up 4 goals and 3 assists in that time. And Romano is reporting that Savinho wants to develop and play more at this stage of his career. He wrote on X, exclude, Savinho informs Manchester City about his desire to leave this summer. Savio wants to play more and develop in his career. #MCFC have been informed by the winger. All in Man City hands now. Tottenham have Savinho on top of their list, as revealed since May. Tottenham given huge lift in Savinho signing chase. News of Savinho looking to force his way out of City, who now have Enzo Maresca at the helm, will certainly be welcomed by Spurs after they failed to replace legendary former skipper Son Heung-min last summer. The likes of Wilson Odobert, Randall Kolo Muani, Richarlison, and, to a lesser extent, Matisse Tell, all tried and failed to impress on the left flank. That reignited Tottenham's interest in Savinho, whose days appear to be numbered at City as he sits behind the likes of Ryan Cherki, Jeremy Doku, Antoine Semenyo, and Phil Foden for the wide positions in the blue half of Manchester, while Jack Grealish has also returned from his loan stint at Everton and is back in the City mix. Spurs are likely to have to fork out in the region of £60 million to snap one of their top summer targets, with that figure likely to remain in play despite the player's very clear exit stance. There's also the added concern of reported AC Milan interest in Savinho, seemingly to replace the departing Leao. However, Spurs will now be confident they can pull off a deal for one of their long-running targets. Report: Man City ready to replace Rodri with La Liga midfielder. Marc Bernal. Rodri succession and why Man City may have to wait. Manchester City are doing what smart clubs should do. They are planning ahead. According to Caught Offside, their search for a future holding midfielder has brought them to Barcelona teenager Marc Bernal, a player described as one of the club's standout academy products. The logic is obvious. Rodri has been the reference point in midfield for years, and replacing that profile was never going to be simple. The report states that City view Bernal as a potential long-term replacement for Rodri. It also explains why. Bernal offers physical presence, composure in possession, and ability to receive the ball under pressure, traits any top side wants at the base of midfield, especially in Enzo Maresca's structure. Barcelona's stance on Marc Bernal. Here is the issue. Barcelona have Bernal tied down until 2029 and have placed a €500 million release clause in his deal. More importantly, Barcelona, though, have no intention of selling. That is the key line. Everything else is secondary. This is why the story feels more like reconnaissance than a transfer operation. City can monitor, scout, and admire, but admiration does not move negotiations along when the selling club has no appetite to engage. The article adds there is currently no indication that Barcelona are prepared to open negotiations. That should end any fantasy of a quick deal. Rodri successor options for Man City. There is another warning sign here. Mundo Deportivo reports that Manchester United tried to involve Bernal in talks over Marcus Rashford and were knocked back immediately. The midfielder also had no interest in leaving Camp Nou. Again, that matters. This is not a player agitating for a move or waiting for England to call. City's interest still makes sense because succession planning for Rodri cannot begin too early. Fair enough, but if the player is committed, the club are resistant, and the clause is essentially prohibitive, then this is a watching brief, nothing more. Premier League interest and transfer reality. Arsenal and Chelsea are also monitoring him, which tells you the market agrees on the talent. It does not tell you a deal is there to be done. For City, the sensible conclusion is simple. Keep Marc Bernal on the list, keep tracking his development, and spend more time identifying a midfielder who is actually attainable. Our view. As a disappointed Man City supporter, this sort of report is frustrating because it reads like good scouting attached to zero real chance of success. Yes, Bernal sounds ideal. Yes, everyone can see why a club would want a player with physical presence, composure in possession, and ability to receive the ball under pressure. But wanting a player and signing a player are completely different things. The moment you read, Barcelona, though, have no intention of selling, and see the €500 million release clause, you know where this is heading. Nowhere. Supporters do not need romantic long lists. They need credible options. If Rodri's long-term future is even a mild concern, then the recruitment team should be working on players whose clubs might actually pick up the phone. There is also a wider concern. Too often, these stories make City look reactive in the market, almost as if the club are hoping elite talent becomes available by chance. That is not how the best succession planning works. The best succession planning lands the next player before everyone else realizes he is ready. Bernal may become top class. Fine. Keep watching him. But this feels like one for the notebook, not one for the deal table. Right now, City fans should want less fantasy, more realism, and a midfield target who can genuinely be signed. Why is Erling Haaland not a part of Manchester City's squad for pre-season tour of Asia? Report provides update. Haaland, 26, sizzled in his debut appearance in the quadrennial competition, where Norway marked their return after 28 years with a maiden run to the last 8, where they lost 2-1 in extra time to England. The City striker scored twice in his first World Cup match in a 4-1 win over Iraq. Haaland repeated the trick in the 3-2 victory over Senegal, as Ståle Solbakken side qualified for the knockouts with a game to spare. Haaland sat out the France group game before scoring a late winner in the 2-1 round of 32 victory over Côte d'Ivoire. He then scored both goals as the Vikings beat 5-time champions Brazil 2-1, handing the Seleção their earliest FIFA World Cup stake elimination in 36 years. The striker failed to score against the Three Lions, who came from behind to score twice, with Jude Bellingham scoring both goals, including the winner early in extra time. Owing to Haaland's extended involvement in the competition, City have excluded the Norwegian as well as Jeremy Doku, Mateus Nunes, and Ruben Dias from their pre-season tour of Asia, as per Biz Chosen. However, some players who featured in the round of 16 at the World Cup are expected to join later after not flying out of Manchester with the initial 28-player squad. A look at Erling Haaland's Manchester City's pre-season tour. Erling Haaland's Manchester City face Serie A champions Inter Milan in Hong Kong on August 10, before facing a K-League All-Star team in Seoul 4 days later. On August 9th, they face Atletico Madrid. New boss Enzo Maresca, who has replaced the legendary Pep Guardiola this summer, has the likes of Phil Foden, Gianluigi Donnarumma, Josko Gvardiol, Tijani Reinders, Mateo Kovacic, Ryan Ait-Nouri, Sabino, Antoine Semenyo, Abdulkadir Husanov, and Rico Lewis to call upon. The Manchester City squad also includes young players like Claudio Echeverri, Jeremy Monga, Ryan McAdoo, Divine Mukasa, Devin Mbama, and Jaden Hesketh, who will look to gain valuable game time to stake a claim for places in the first team. Fabrizio Romano. Transfer news. Diomande latest, Barcola boost, Savinho update. Fabrizio Romano rounds up the latest transfer news as Real Madrid close in on Yan Diomande, Liverpool push for Bradley Barcola, Tottenham step up their Savinho pursuit, and Chelsea advance for experienced reinforcements. Real Madrid relaxed as Yan Diomande deal edges closer, despite PSG speculation. Real Madrid remain confident of completing the signing of Yan Diomande, despite fresh reports in France suggesting Paris Saint-Germain could attempt a late hijack. Romano told his YouTube channel, "Reports in France suggested Paris Saint-Germain could try to reactivate the deal for Yan Diomande at the last moment despite Real Madrid's progress. What I'm told is very clear. Paris Saint-Germain have been completely out of this deal since Saturday. They are fully aware that Real Madrid have already agreed the deal with RB Leipzig and ended all conversations over the weekend. PSG have no plans to attempt a hijack. That is the message coming from the club. They are also very unhappy with how the situation developed and are upset with people close to the player. But as far as they are concerned, the case has been closed since Saturday. Real Madrid already have everything agreed with RB Leipzig. The only reason there is still some waiting is because Leipzig are working on signing a replacement before giving the player permission to travel. Diomande has a verbal agreement to become a Real Madrid player. There is no doubt inside the club and everyone is completely relaxed about the situation. I'm also told that Jose Mourinho and his coaching staff have already started working on tactical plans involving Diomande. They see him playing mainly on the right, but also capable of operating on the left, so they are already preparing for him to become part of the squad. Bayern shut down Luis Diaz and Michael Olise rumors. Bayern Munich insists they have no intention of weakening their squad despite continued speculation surrounding several of their biggest stars. There has been plenty of speculation around Luis Diaz and Al Hilal over recent days. I never reported that because my understanding is that Al Hilal are working on Iliman Ndiaye instead. We have to see whether Everton open the door and under what conditions, but the player is open to the move, Romano said. As for Luis Diaz, Bayern's position is crystal clear. They do not want to lose him. That has been their message privately, and today the club also made it public. Chief executive Jan Christian Driessen said Bayern would be very stupid to let Luis Diaz leave, so the club have publicly closed the door on any departure. The same applies to Michael Olise. Bayern have an excellent relationship with Real Madrid, especially between Florentino Perez, Karl-Heinz Rummenigge, and Uli Hoeneß. There is a gentleman's agreement between the clubs, and Real Madrid would never have tried to sign Olise without Bayern's approval. Real Madrid admired Olise and were ready to make a bid. Florentino Perez considers him the perfect Galactico, but Bayern never opened the door. Instead, Bayern now want to offer Olise a new contract. I also expect them to begin discussions over a new deal for Harry Kane. The plan is to build next season around Luis Diaz, Michael Olise, and Harry Kane. Bayern believe that trio gives them everything they need to compete for every trophy. They are also very happy with their summer additions, including Nathaniel Brown and Ismail Saibari, and internally they believe they have improved the squad enough to challenge for the Champions League and every major honor. Liverpool remain confident over Bradley Barcola. Liverpool continue to make Bradley Barcola one of their leading transfer priorities, although negotiations with Paris Saint-Germain are still to begin in earnest. Liverpool want Barcola and see him as one of their top priorities, Romano said. Barcola wants Liverpool. He loves the project and is very tempted by the opportunity to join the club. Personal terms are not expected to be a problem. There is confidence and agreement can be reached with the player. The issue remains between the clubs because negotiations over the transfer fee have not yet been completed. The only significant development in recent days is that Barcola will not sign a new contract at Paris Saint-Germain, which naturally makes an exit easier. However, PSG still value him extremely highly. They know Europe's biggest clubs are looking for elite young wingers, and they see Barcola as one of the very best. They will demand a huge fee, so it is now up to Liverpool to decide whether they can match PSG's valuation. I don't expect any issues with the player himself, but Liverpool will continue working over the coming days and weeks to see whether an agreement with PSG is possible. Tottenham step up Savinho move after winger asks to leave Manchester City. Tottenham's pursuit of Savinho has gathered momentum after the winger made it clear he wants to leave Manchester City. I've been saying for some time that Tottenham wants Savinho and consider him a top target. Savinho also wants Tottenham. He is very keen on the move and personal terms are not an issue, Romano said. There has been plenty of talk about Rafael Leao, but Savinho is the player Tottenham are actively trying to sign. They want to add 2 wingers this summer. At the moment, there has been no real progress on Leao, but work is continuing on Savinho. Today, Savinho spoke with Enzo Maresca and his representatives also held talks with Manchester City. He told the club that he wants to leave because he wants to play regularly, continue his development, and does not feel like a key player at Manchester City. He wants to join Tottenham. Now it is up to Tottenham and Manchester City to reach an agreement. Talks between the clubs have already started. Manchester City may first need to sign a replacement before approving the move, but Tottenham are preparing to push hard and the negotiations are entering a crucial stage. And that's all for today's Manchester City transfer update. What do you think about Marc Bernal as a potential Rodri replacement? And should Man City allow Savinho to leave? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, subscribe to Man City Matters, and share this video with fellow Manchester City fans. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next Man City Matters update.